Hey you guys, it's Britt. Today we're here to talk for a few minutes about legal bullies. This is something that I've kind of touched on previously, but it is happening yet again with two people that I recently talked about. So we're going to go over it, talk for a few minutes. If you're interested, please keep watching. All right, you guys, so today we're going to be talking about Madison and Crystal Hefner. I did a recent video talking about this podcast episode that is now kind of being called into question by Crystal, and this C&D was sent to Holly, Bridget, and Hugh Hefner's son, Marston. Holly, of course, is making a lot of light of it and calling it toilet paper, and you know, they discuss it in this clip that I just watched. So let's watch the clip and then I'll give my thoughts regarding, especially kind of in this age of social media, how a lot of people will utilize things like C&Ds and these legal threats to keep opposing opinions or criticism away, but that's not really the way it works. So let's watch the clip and then I'll get into my thoughts.
We've had an interesting week.
Yeah.
I got some toilet paper delivered.
You did. That's so convenient.
I
It's so
know.
nice.
Just when I was out of toilet paper, somebody decided to send a cease and desist my way and your way.
Our
and
way.
Marston Hefner's way. But anyhow, we got this cease and desist, and it was in regards to the episode we did with Marston Hefner maybe a month or two ago. And it was wild.
It is wild because there's accusations in the cease and desist that we said things that we never said.
We were obnoxiously careful. Like, we're not stupid. We're not going to say anything on the podcast that's lawsuit worthy. Also, we had our attorneys listen to the episode. They gave us the okay. Marston had his attorney listen to the episode. They gave it his okay.
Yeah, before it even hit the airwaves. So
Yeah, 100%. So anyway, we get the cease and desist. And my favorite thing they said in the cease and desist was that allegedly we said that she was involved in quote unquote doping up Hef. And if I remember correctly in the podcast, Marston said that he was a little bit disturbed at the amount of medication his father was receiving. But he said, you know, when you're that rich and powerful, there's always going to be somebody who can write you that prescription. And I'm paraphrasing here. That's not an exact quote or anything. But I took that to mean as he just felt like when you have that kind of access, there's always going to be a doctor somewhere who's going to maybe give you a little too much if you want it. I didn't think that had anything to do with cease and desist, lady.
right.
So we'll see where this goes. But I'm not backing down because here's how I feel about this. There's a thing that I like to call legal bullying when people who think they're richer than everybody else pay their attorneys to send cease and desists to people to shut them up. So if this were to progress to a lawsuit, this, in my opinion, would be a SLAPP suit. SLAPP stands for Strategic Litigation Against Public Participation, and it's designed to just shut people up.
I completely agree with Holly, and the thing that Crystal doesn't understand is Holly and Bridget are very intelligent, and they're not going to say something on the podcast that is literal defamation just because something is said and you want to relate it back to you. For me, that says guilty conscience. That says you're trying to say something is about you when it wasn't actually even about you. And I agree with the stance of when Marston said that, it was referring to doctors with people that have a lot of money. There's always that doctor that will give you a little bit too much. That's how I understood the part of the podcast where he was discussing that. And here's the whole thing. Not only is she the president still currently of Hef's organization that really focuses all around free speech, but she has come out and said how miserable her time was and how she never loved Hef. So now you're wanting to go to bat for this man that you didn't really love. Is this just an opportunity to kind of attack Holly and Bridget legally? Because this is like, is this because you feel like this is the only thing you can do that's in your power, is to kind of weaponize your money and your attorneys to send out the C&D? You have to be smarter than that. When we're talking about the age of social media where people are constantly sharing their opinions, being snarky, I've said before, I'm never here for people bullying other creators when they're talking about having an opposing opinion. But there is a difference between what defamation is and what might be breaking terms of service of said platform. If you're bullying somebody, and that could be used as, okay, this is against the terms of service of YouTube or TikTok or Instagram, then that is a platform issue. That is not defamation. That's not something that deserves a CND. My God, if CNDs were valid and able to be used in this manner, then every podcast and commentary channel under the sun would be receiving a CND multiple times a week. But most people are smarter than Crystal Hefner, and they, don't utilize attorneys to send out these CNDs that are literal trash. I think the thing that a lot of people still haven't understood, that it's like when you put out a book or you put out a video or you put out a memoir, a tell-all, a documentary, once it's out there for public consumption, that doesn't automatically mean that everybody is going to agree with you, be on your side, give you positive feedback. A lot of people might take in the content that you put out and think that it's a load of garbage. And they're allowed to say it's a load of garbage, and that doesn't mean that they are defaming you or anything that deserves a call to your attorney, just because you have the money to keep your attorney on retainer. This comment says, so Crystal can tarnish Hugh, but his son can't speak on his actual experience. These women share horrors, but still respected a man they cared for. Crystal protests way too much. The guilt is very obvious. Holly is such a boss. Holly Madison for president. Team Holly. And of course, there's comments that are against Holly and Bridget too. Like someone said, Holly is so desperate. I think a lot of people have kind of wondered, like, why are they doing this podcast talking about a show that is over 20 years old, rehashing the episodes, rehashing what happened in that period of time. Me personally, having watched the show when it was actually on air, I find it very interesting for them to give behind the scenes insight and knowledge and stories that weren't told when the show was actually being filmed. I find it entertaining. It might not be for everyone, but when you're part of something, I don't think there's like an expiration date on when you're allowed to talk about it or when you should stop talking about it. It's not like Holly and Bridget are making money off a crime, which is more than Gypsy Rose can say. And look at Gypsy Rose talking about stuff that happened years later. There's no expiration date, but people are allowed to give their opinions on it if and when you choose to talk about it. And some of them might be good, some might be bad, but there is a very clear difference between defamation versus something that could be, okay, well, I'm being bullied on TikTok, so let me take that up with TikTok. And I think a lot of people just try to say, oh, it's all defamatory, when it's not. And you have to be able to kind of, I guess, navigate those waters. But some people are just rich and utilize their attorneys instead. So either way, I know, a quick little video, but I wanted to share my thoughts on this. I am running out the door to go get a haircut, and I might do a little vlog, so we will see. But for now, if you like the video, please leave a like and a comment. And if you'd like to see more from me in the future, please subscribe. I'll see you guys soon. Bye.